All right, good morning. It is 8 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. Sorry about the confusion with the time. Whenever I sent out that invite a couple of days ago, I was in a different time zone actually, and I guess that messed up what time it actually registered it for. All right, so this is the final week. This is week 8. As I put out in a couple of emails, there is no new material this week. No quiz, no discussion or anything like that. The only thing you have to complete is your final project, which is, there's a little bit more to it than some of the other projects that you have for some of the other assignments that you've had to complete. So really what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to go over your final project. Maybe we'll do a little bit of pseudocode that shows kind of how it should be laid out. And then, we'll have a question and answer session. So really it's mostly going to be on you what questions you have. If you don't have questions, then it'll probably be a relatively short session. So all right, let's go and get started. So let's start off by looking at assignment number 8, or your final project. I'm going to bring it up here. There we go. So really it's just building on your assignment from week 3 and 4. And if you go back and look at your assignment for week 3 and 4, week 4 built on week 3. So really it's kind of the same thing. And those were the assignments where you had to compute how much it cost to clean your house, right? You had to have the user type in how many rooms they had and then what kind of cleaning they want. And then you had to compute, what is the cost of their cleaning. Okay, that's what week 3 was. Week 4 just kind of built upon that. It just asked you to use a function to do it, but really it was basically the same thing. So now when we look at week 8, we're going to build upon that. So now instead of just cleaning your house, we're also going to offer a yard service. All right. So let's kind of read through this one time, and then we'll go back and break it down line by line, just kind of like we did for the assignment last week. All right. So let's just go through it one time first. The week 8 final project involves creating a Python program that builds on the assignments for weeks 3 and 4, which, as I just said, was about the house cleaning service. In addition to the house cleaning service from the previous assignment, the company now offers a yard service. The yard service includes mowing, edging, and shrub pruning. The cost of the mowing depends upon the square footage of the yard. The cost of edging depends upon the linear footage. And the cost of the shrub pruning depends on the number of shrubs, right? So your program should begin by asking the customer whether they are requesting house cleaning or yard service. If the user inputs an invalid choice, they should be re-prompted until a valid choice is entered. And I'll show you how to do that. Depending upon the choice, the program should then prompt the user for the information needed to determine the cost of the service. So for our yard service, we need to know how big is the yard, right? Because the cost of the mowing depends on the square footage of the yard. The cost of the edging depends upon the linear footage of the edges. So we need to know how big the yard is, and we need to know how many shrubs they have. Okay. Or if they choose the house cleaning service, we need to ask them, how many rooms do you have and what kind of house cleaning do you want? Do you want floors, windows, bathrooms, dusting? Or you don't even have to include all those. You could just say, a basic cleaning or an in-depth cleaning or something like that. As long as you're asking for how many rooms and what kind of cleaning you want. And you can make up whatever kind of cleaning it is that you want, as long as you give the user a choice. All right, let's go back to 8. Really kind of the last part here. Seniors receive a discount on both services. You decide the discount amount, which can either be a percentage or a fixed dollar amount. And you also decide how to prompt the user, either by asking the customer's age or just asking them if they're a senior or not. And then the output of the program should be the cost of the requested service. All right. And the rest of the stuff, you can read through it. I'm not going to read through it right now, but it basically just says that you can reuse your code from week 3 and 4 if you want to. However, I will strongly advise you that if you did not get a good grade from your week 3 and 4 assignment, you might want to just redo it. Because if you just reuse your code from week 3 and you got a bad grade on it, you're probably still not going to get a good grade on it if you just paste it in here now. I mean, if you want to use your code from week 3 and fix your problems, that's fine. But if you did poorly on week 3, don't just copy and paste it and just use it as is, because I'm going to find those same errors in your code again. Right? And then you can see at minimum, your program should have one function to calculate the house cleaning costs, and another to calculate the yard service costs, and a third to determine the discount. So automatically you need at minimum 3 functions. If you do not have those 3 functions, you will lose points. It's important you read the specifications and what it tells you to do. And then of course down here is talking about include comments and so on and so forth. I'm not going to read through the rest of it. Okay, so what we'll do, we're going to start putting some comments in here about what it is you actually have to do. And we're going to do that by just reading, right? Read one line at a time. Let me get this where I can see both. There we go. That's good. Well, I want to show more of it. Okay, there we go. So let's read it one line at a time, and then we'll kind of put a comment in here about what it's expecting us to do. Okay. So the week 8 final project involves creating the Python program for weeks 3 and 4. No really comment needed for that. So in addition to the house cleaning service from previous assignments, so we need to use house cleaning service from previous assignments. Let's make that bigger, right? The company will now offer a yard service. So we're going to have a yard service. The yard service involves mowing, edging, and shrub pruning. So for the yard service, we have mowing, we have edging, and we have shrub pruning. I think that's spelled right. Okay. The cost of the mowing depends upon the square footage of the yard. So the mowing cost is based on yard square feet. Right. The edging, the cost of the edging depends upon the linear footage of the yard's edges. Cost depends, and that's really just, it's fancy words for saying the perimeter. Depends on perimeter of the yard. And the shrub, let's see, and the cost of the shrub pruning depends on the number of shrubs. Cost depends on number of shrubs. All right, so that's the first paragraph. That's information we need to know. We need to do something with that information. Let's go to the second paragraph. Your program should begin by asking the customer if they are requesting house cleaning or yard service. So ask user if they want house cleaning or yard service. Okay. If the user inputs an invalid choice, the user should be reprompted until a valid choice is entered. So if invalid choice, then ask them again what they want. Okay. Depending upon the choice, the program should then prompt the user for the information needed to determine the cost. Okay, so that sounds like if the user chooses, let's say, house cleaning. So what do they need to know for the house cleaning? They need to know the number of rooms. We need to input the number of rooms, and we need to input the type of cleaning. Okay. Else, if the user chooses yard service, what do we need to know to compute the yard service? Well, this is what the yard service has. Okay. Actually, let's fill this in up here so we have all of our comments in one place. So if they're going to do the house cleaning, it's based on the number of rooms and let's see, the type of cleaning. See, the number of rooms, if we look back at our assignment, see, the cost should be based on whether the house has a small number of rooms, a medium number of rooms, or a large number of rooms, and the type of cleaning. So the number of rooms can be small, medium, or large, and the type of cleaning, we'll just do a basic or advanced. Yeah, this could really be anything you want. You could break it down more. You could say the floors, the windows, the furniture. You can have a bunch of different choices here, but we're going to keep it simple. Just two types of cleaning, a basic cleaning or an advanced cleaning. Okay. So now I'll come back down here. If the user chooses yard service, well, right here, if the user chooses house cleaning, that's the information we need to get from them, right? That's the information we need to get. If they choose yard service, this is the information we need to get. So to compute the mowing, we need the square foot, right? So input square foot of yard. To compute the edging, we need the perimeter of the yard. And to compute the shrub pruning cost, we need the number of shrubs. Okay. So that covers, oops. Undo that. Oh, actually we get, yeah, there we go. So that's the second paragraph. So the program should begin by asking the customer whether they are requesting house cleaning or yard service. Right there, ask them if they want house or yard service. If the user inputs an invalid choice, the user should be re-prompted until a valid choice is entered. So if it's an invalid choice, ask them again. Do you want house or yard service? Depending upon the choice, the program should then prompt the user for the information needed to determine the cost. Right here, if they picked house cleaning, then we need to know the number of rooms and the type of cleaning. If they pick a yard service, we need to know how big the yard is and the number of shrubs that they have, right? So that we're down to, see, that's 1, 2, we're down to the third paragraph now. So the seniors receive a discount on both services. You can decide the discount amount. So we need to compute the senior discount. And where we were at, you can decide the amount. It can either be a fixed percentage or a percentage or a fixed dollar amount. You also decide how to prompt the user, either by asking their age or asking if they're a senior. So to compute so before we compute it, we need to ask if they're a senior. Ask if they, we'll say input if the user is a senior, and if the user is a senior, then we want to compute the senior discount. We'll give them a discount. Okay. The output of the program should be the cost of the requested service. So then finally, we want to print the cost. Now, one of the most important things, and many of you will not do this, and you'll end up losing points, unfortunately. You may reuse your code, as we said. Pay special attention. At a minimum, your program should have one function to calculate the house cleaning cost. So we need to create a function to compute house cleaning cost. Another to calculate the yard service cost. Create function to compute yard service cost. And a third to determine the discount. Create a function to determine the discount. All right. So that's all the stuff that we have to do for this final assignment. Let's go ahead and cover that up. Actually, I don't need that. Let's make this bigger. So that's all the comments we need to make this work. All right. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of pseudocode, but I'm not going to give you the whole thing. All right. This is just some help. Usually, the first things you want to do are your functions. Okay. It's just the way it is. It's a good rule of thumb is you want to do your functions first, and you usually want to have them at the very top of your program. So let's put those at the very top of our program. Okay. So, like I said, what I'm going to type in here is pseudocode. This isn't Python code you can actually compile. It's pseudocode, which gives you an idea of what to do. So let's make a function to compute the house cleaning cost. Let's call it compute house cleaning. That's going to be the name of my function. Now, what do I need to know to compute the house cleaning cost? What information do I need? I need the number of rooms and the type of cleaning. So those need to be parameters to your function. So num rooms and type cleaning need to be parameters to your function. Okay. I've put a lot of feedback on a lot of assignments. It may not be the people that are, logged in listening to this right now, but I've had to put a ton of feedback on people's assignments to where you are using variables that are not given as parameters. And what do I mean by that? Let's just say somewhere down here later in my program, I have the variable AAA, right? In this function, you cannot use your AAA variable. The reason is these should be the only variables you use inside of your functions. Now, Python will let you do that. Python will not complain, and Python will do it. But that is very bad practice. That is not what you should be doing, and you're going to lose points for it. If you try to get a programming job, after you graduate, if you do something like this, you're not going to have your programming job very long. I promise you that. If you're going to use a variable inside of a function, it needs to be passed as a parameter. With one exception, you can make new variables, meaning I can have new variable equals something. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What you can't do is say, my new variable equals AAA times 5 or something. And why is that? Because AAA is something outside of your function. It's not part of your function. It's not passed as a parameter. Okay. So whenever you make these functions, any piece of information that function needs to know needs to be passed as a parameter. All right. That's enough on that, but I've seen it way too many times on the assignments submitted. Okay. So we have the function compute house cleaning. We're giving it as parameters the number of rooms and the type of cleaning. Now we need to actually compute the cost, right? And that's left up to you. So you need to compute cost equals, you need to figure out the cost of the cleaning, and then you need to return the cost. Okay. Not too much different for these other ones. We'll do compute yard service cost. What pieces of information do we need to know to compute the yard service cost? We've already said, there's the mowing, there's the edging, and there's the shrub pruning. But to compute the cost, we need the yard square footage. So yard square feet. We need the perimeter of the yard, the edging, yard perimeter. And we need, for the shrub pruning, we need to know the number of shrubs. So num shrubs. So now you need to compute the cost. You need to figure out the cost of the service, and then you need to return the cost. Notice in here, I'm not doing any kind of input, am I? In this function, I'm not asking them what the number of rooms are. The number of rooms is given as a parameter. Okay, this is just doing computations and returning the cost. Same thing with this one. Let's do the last one. Create a function to determine the discount. So compute determine discount. Let's say we're going to do a percentage discount. Okay. Well, actually, that's not even that important. So to compute the discount, what do we need to know? Yeah, we'll do a percentage discount. So to do a percentage discount, what do we need to know to compute the percentage discount? We need to know the cost, right? Because if it's a percentage off the cost, then we need to know the cost to compute it. So the discount will be equal to, you need to figure out the discount amount. And then you can return that discount. All right. Those are the three functions it's asking you to make. If you don't make the functions, you're going to lose points. All right, let's look at some of our other comments. Use the house cleaning service from previous assignments. I'm not going to go back and copy code. And we have the yard service. This is really just information. There's really no code we need to type in for this stuff. It's just telling us, what our house cleaning service consists of, what the yard service consists of. All right, but now here we actually get stuff. Ask the user if they want house cleaning or yard service. Input yard cleaning, not yard cleaning, input house cleaning or yard service. So if it's an invalid choice, ask them again what they want. So really we need to kind of do this in a loop. Loop. Input the, if I could spell right, house cleaning or yard service. If the input is not house cleaning or yard service, actually, let's do this a better way. So we'll input if it's a house cleaning or yard service. All right. So now we can do the kind of the rest of these comments. Yeah, let's just get to this point. So right there, we're going to ask the user if they want house cleaning or yard service, right there. The reason why we're doing it in a loop, you'll see here in a second. All right, so there, input it. So now, if the user chooses house cleaning, actually, I'm just going to leave these as comments right now. You can convert these comments to actual code. So if the user chooses house cleaning, Then we need to input the number of rooms. We need to input the type of cleaning, and then we need to compute the cost. The cost will equal, what's it, compute house cleaning cost, and we need to give it the number of rooms and the type of cleaning as parameters. Num rooms equals whatever they input. Type of cleaning equals whatever they input. Okay, now else, if the user chooses a yard service, we want to input the square footage of the yard. So we'll say SQFT equals that input, with the perimeter equals that input, and the num shrubs equals that input. Now we need to compute that cost. Compute cost of yard service. And what parameters do we need to give it? We need to give the square foot, the perimeter, and the number of shrubs. So we need to give it the square foot variable, the perimeter variable, and the number of shrubs variable. All right. So that'll compute our cost. Then we need to have one more else. See, this is easier. Just make a break there. I'll show you why that break is important. Else print invalid choice. Let me show you why that works. So right now we're in a loop, right? We're going to ask the user if they want house cleaning or yard service. If it's house cleaning, we do all that stuff. And then if it is a house cleaning, we do all this stuff, we compute the cost, and the break means it goes outside of the loop. It stops doing the loop. So once we hit that break, it just comes down here and we're not in the loop anymore. Okay, that's if that happens. So if that happens, do this. Else, did they choose a yard service? If it's a yard service, we do all of this, which is we compute the cost and we do a break because they chose the yard service. So when it hits the break, it goes out of the loop and comes down here. So now, if neither one of these is true, if it's not this and it's not this, then it'll go to the else. And if it's else, that means we did not choose house cleaning. We did not choose yard service. So it's an invalid choice. So we'll just print invalid choice. And then that's the end of the loop. And since there's not a break statement, it just goes back to the top of the loop. And we'll go back up here. So after the print invalid choice, it'll just go back up to the loop. And it'll ask them again, do you want house cleaning or yard service? And that fulfills which requirement? I think I may have deleted the comment, but that fits the requirement that says if they make an invalid choice, then you need to ask them again. Because every time it's an invalid choice, it'll just go back up to the loop and it'll do the same thing all over again. It'll ask them if they want house or yard cleaning service. Okay, so now we've got the cost if it's house cleaning. We've got the cost if it's a yard service. So now we need to compute the discount if they're a senior. So input if the user is a senior. So we'll make a variable is senior, whatever they type in. And then we don't need to put that in a comment though. So we'll input if the user is a senior. And then we need to check if the user is a senior, then we need to compute the senior discount. So let's compute the discount equals compute determine discount. What do we need to know? What parameters does that function need to compute the discount? Well, let's go back up and look at it. So there's the compute discount. It needs to know the cost. And then it returns to us the discount. Okay. So it needs the cost. So now we have the discount. Right. And so then now we need to print the cost. So we got to think for a second, is the cost with or without the discount, right? So in here, I would go ahead and print, let's make it a comment. You can figure out the code. So you compute the new cost with the discount, and then maybe print your discount was, discount. No, just say print your discount was whatever the amount is, and your final cost is whatever the final cost is, right? And then we can have an else. Just print the cost because they didn't get a discount, right? So again, inside the loop, we've already computed the cost. So down here, input, are you a senior? Yes or no? If you are a senior, we need to compute the discount like this. Then we need to compute the new cost with the discount. So if that's the cost, and if that's the discount, what's the remaining cost? You can do the math for that. So compute the new cost with the discount, and then we just want to tell them, hey, here, this was your discount amount, and this is your final cost. Else, meaning they are not a senior and they do not get a discount, you can just print out the cost. And then we don't need that final print cost there because here we already printed out the cost. So this is a large chunk of what your program needs. And we did it here in about 15 minutes or so. So make sure you create the functions that tells you to create. Make sure that you're inputting the house cleaning or yard service. And if they do not choose a valid input, you need to keep asking them. If they choose house cleaning, you need to compute the house cleaning. If they choose a yard service, you need to compute the yard service. And then you need to figure out the discount and print the total cost. Okay, that is all there is to your final project. So that's all the material I have to present this morning. This is your chance to ask any question about anything in the class, anything in the course that you want to ask. Anything from any previous assignment or any previous material in the class. This is your chance. This is the best chance you have to ask for assistance. So the floor is open for you to ask questions.
Hi, good morning, Professor Steffi. It's Brian Brain. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. I have just one quick question about the method used for determining, I guess, whether a service that is requested is valid or not. I kind of approached it a little bit differently. And I just wanted to run it by you to make sure it's not, I guess, like that it's appropriate for this type of program.
Yeah, go ahead and describe it. If I can't make it out from what you're describing, then send it to me in email and I'll reply back to you shortly. But
Sure.
go ahead and try describing it first.
Okay, so I prompt the user for the type of service. So either I ask for either clean or yard, and I establish an array with valid services. So I have literally the words clean and yard, and then instead of having the if statements inside the while loop, I just have a while loop right after the input statement and after the valid services array. And I just have while service not in valid services, and then I reprompt the user to enter clean or yard. and it seems to work. I mean, it has worked
Yeah,
for each case, but
yeah, based on what you're describing, that would work. Here is it'll work, and I wouldn't discount you points. But here would be a piece of advice I would give to you. So based on what you're saying, I'll type out some stuff here and tell me if this is right. So you input type of service, right? That's going to be like service equals type of service or something, right? Up here you have like an array, yard or clean, not year, I'm sorry, yard. So you have this, and then you have while s not in a, s equals input type of service. That's kind of what you're describing, right?
exactly, yes,
And then down here after the while, you probably have something like if s is yard, then do yard stuff.
exactly.
Okay. No, that works. That's perfectly fine. No issue with that. Something you always want to do in programming, and this is more of a critique. This would work, and I would not count points off. But if you look right here, you're doing the same exact thing twice, right? That's
Right,
usually
right.
that's usually an indication you can do things better.
Okay.
So what I would probably do, pretty sure Python has this. Let me make sure. I do about 10 different programming languages. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
okay.
Python has concept of a do while loop. It looks like this. Do something. You'll have to look up the exact formatting of it. So instead of asking them twice, come on, there we go. It'll look something like that instead, meaning you want to do this and then you check the while part of it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So if you see, I've kind of eliminated that appearing twice, right? So I'm saying do the actual thing and then check the while condition, which is kind of flipping the normal while loop.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, thank you. And
But
I just wanted to run it by you to see if it was first acceptable and then if there was a better way
Yep.
to approach it.
but like I said, either way, if you just do the while loop like you described it, I'm not going to count off points because it works. And this course isn't about being extremely efficient or things like that. So I don't count off for things being inefficient. So if you do it the way you described, there's no issue with it.
All right, great. Thank you. And
Okay.
Thanks for everything else.
No problem. All right. I'm going to hang around for just another minute or so to see if any more questions pop up. And as always, this video will get posted up to the course site sometime later today. All right, nothing heard, nothing in the chat. Everyone have a great weekend. If you need help, then please email me. And when you email me for assistance, please have your please have your question targeted to what your problem is. If you send me an email and it just says my program doesn't work, I don't know how to provide you assistance if that's what you ask. Now, if you say I'm unable to get this loop completed because of XYZ, that helps me target my response and I can get you some good help. So please ask for assistance if you need it. Like I said, this is the last week. Yep. All right. Everybody have a good weekend.